It was one of those lazy summer Saturdays when the lake glittered like poured glass. My only plan was to turn marinated ribs over slow charcoal and listen to water slap the dock. The air smelled of hickory chips and sunscreen. Somewhere down the cove a kid laughed, a jet ski buzzed then faded. My dog, Rusty, sprawled beside me, paws twitching in dream. For a moment I forgot bills, emails, every dull errand waiting. That peace lasted 9 minutes. First came the squeak of golf cart tires. Then a woman's voice, sharp enough to slice a ripe peach. "Excuse me. What do you think you're doing?" She stood 10 yards away, arms folded so tight her knuckles were white. Straw visor, pink polo, and a lanyard that read Golden Pines HOA. Lake folk called her Karen, though her real name was longer and harder to spell. I wiped my hands and kept my tone calm. "Just cooking lunch." "You can't run an open flame that close to the water," she said. Section 12, Paragraph 4. Dock areas are common space, and charcoal grills are prohibited. "My dock," I answered, tapping the cedar post where my granddad carved our initials 40 years earlier. "Private easement, predates your HOA." She raised her phone. "I don't need a debate." Rusty barked once. I clipped his leash to a bench so he wouldn't wander. "Wind's calm, I've got a fire mat, not bothering anyone." She smiled without warmth. "You're bothering me." That sentence hung in the humid air, heavy as thunderclouds. I'd heard stories, trash can fines that spiraled into liens, mailboxes repainted under threat, lawns measured with a ruler. The-sun.com, 1, Diomatlas.com, 2, she was the citation queen. Now her eyes were on me. She snapped photos of the grill, the boat, even Rusty. "Evidence," she said. "Expect a letter." I shook my head. "Karen," she cut me off. "Ms. Cranford," she snapped. Lightning flickered in the distance, too far for thunder. Heat pressed on my skin like a damp towel. I turned the ribs, trying to act calm, but my fingers trembled. This dock was my refuge, the acre Dad fought to keep when developers bought the peninsula. He poured concrete himself, slab by slab, and drove pilings with a borrowed barge. Every plank held family memories, 4th of July sparklers, teenage fishing nights, Mom's ashes scattered just beyond the swim ladder. Now someone who didn't own an inch of it was ordering me off. She spoke again, slowly, as if to a child. "Put the fire out. Take the grill inside. Final request." I stared at the meat, glossy with sauce, not yet done. "I'm finishing my cook." Her eyebrows arched. She pressed dial. To the dispatcher she claimed an illegal fire and a dangerous dog on HOA property. Every sentence twisted truth. She insisted children were at risk, flames inches from dry brush. I looked at calm water licking treated lumber and felt my jaw lock. While she talked, I heard boat wakes slap the shore and inhaled wood smoke. Anger rose, hot and restless, but I kept my voice quiet for Rusty's sake. "You'll feel foolish," I said softly. She ignored me, ending the call with a satisfied nod. "They're on their way." I checked my watch. Noon exactly. Lunch ruined. Minutes crawled. Rusty whined. Smoke curled lazily upward, sweet hickory perfume. But under Karen's glare it might as well have been a 4-alarm blaze. Memory flashed. Neighbors forbidden to park pickups in their own driveways, fine stacking until foreclosure. JaredJohns.com, 3, OANDL-law.com, 4, she wanted control, pure and simple. The badge on her lanyard was a sheriff's star in her mind. A passing pontoon slowed, its captain staring at the standoff, then motored on. Even the blue heron perched on the mooring rope seemed to sense drama, neck stretched toward the raised voices. Then the police SUV crested the hill, lights off but purposeful. 7 minutes from her call. Maybe they knew her number by heart. Karen's lips curled into a grin. She waved them down with theatrical urgency. Rusty pressed against my leg. 2 officers stepped out. One scanned the scene, quiet dock, small grill, one confused dog. The younger sighed like a man who recognized wasted time. Karen launched into rapid-fire speech. Policy, violation, danger. She pointed at the grill, at me, at Rusty, at invisible hazards. I waited. The older officer raised a palm. "Ma'am, slow down." He approached me. "Sir, ID." I handed him my license and, more important, the laminated property plat Dad kept in the tackle box. Boundary lines bold, dock inside parcel 17B, my land. The officer traced the line with his finger and let out a low whistle. "Looks clear," he muttered. Karen's face reddened. "That dock is common space. The HOA maintains." "Your documents, ma'am?" She blinked. "It's in the bylaws. Do you have them with you?" Silence. Her lips opened, closed. The younger officer radioed something. The older one inhaled. "Smells great, actually." Behind her, dragonflies skimmed the cattails, indifferent to the tension. A turtle slid off a log with a plunk, breaking the silence that followed the officer's remark. For a heartbeat, I felt nature itself casting its vote. Karen's mouth twitched. "Are you going to cite him?" "No violation we can see," he replied. "He's on private property, fires contained." She sputtered but produced nothing. Rusty thumped his tail. Relief flickered, but a new feeling rose, sharper, resolve. I saw how thin her power was outside printed threats and loud words. And I remembered a clause in my deed about easement rights I had never needed until today. The ribs sizzled. Sunlight glittered on the bay. A breeze blew smoke toward open water. The officers shrugged almost apologetically and started back to their SUV. Karen called after them, voice cracking, but they waved her off. As the cruiser rolled away, she watched with narrowed eyes, plotting her next move. I turned another slab, heartbeat slowing, a hotter plan forming in my mind than the coals beneath the grill. Retiree, faces losing home, over $38,000 trash can fine. It began when she didn't move them while on vacation a decade ago. HOA horror stories. Shocking cases of homeowners association overreach. Florida HOA nightmare. Fight back against overreach and protect your rights. The next morning, I couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. It wasn't just about the grilling anymore. It was about how easily someone tried to claim control over something that wasn't theirs. Something I had grown up with. Something that meant more to me than rules in a handbook. I dug through my dad's old files that were still kept in the garage. Dusty folders, yellowed maps, handwritten notes. I found what I was looking for, the original land deed. It was simple, but strong. It showed clear boundary lines, including the private road that led to the dock. That road, surprisingly, wasn't public. And it wasn't HOA land either. It was mine. Not just the dock. Not just the yard. But the access road itself. Every foot of gravel, every overgrown weed. That road was the only way Karen and her precious HOA had been entering the lakefront park. Their entrance, their shed, even the sign that read, "Private Property, Golden Pines HOA Members Only," it was all on my land. My jaw clenched. 4 years, they had acted like kings and queens of the neighborhood. Sending letters. Charging fines. Telling people where to park and how tall their grass should be. But all along, the very ground they stood on belonged to someone else. That someone was me. I called a property attorney I'd worked with once before, a calm guy named Matt who loved land disputes a little too much. I told him everything. He asked me to scan over the deed and the HOA's public filings. Within an hour, he called me back. "Not only are you right," he said, "but they've been trespassing." I didn't speak for a second. My heart was pounding like I'd just run a mile. "You can file an official cease and desist," he continued. "Or if you want, we can serve them with a demand to vacate. Their entrance sits fully on your land. You've got options." I asked him if it could be challenged. He said, "Nope. You have proof. And they never had an easement. They've just been using it, assuming no one would say anything." I stood there, holding the phone, staring out the window at that narrow road they drove up and down every day. The road they used to patrol the neighborhood. The road Karen used to deliver warnings and threats. And now, the same road I could shut down. I told Matt to prepare the letter. He chuckled. "I've been waiting to do something like this for a long time." That night, I didn't grill. I just sat by the dock, watching the moonlight ripple on the water, Rusty sleeping at my feet. My mind was buzzing. Not with anger anymore, but with plans. The kind that come when you've been pushed too far. When someone draws a line, and you find out that line cuts through your backyard. 2 weeks later, the letter was delivered. Certified mail. Signed receipt. A formal demand to vacate HOA structures from private land, mine. The tone was sharp but legal. It gave them 30 days. No extensions. No negotiations. Just the truth, backed by maps and signatures. I half expected silence. But Karen didn't do silence. She showed up 3 days later. No golf cart this time. She marched up the gravel road like she owned it, papers in hand, rage in every step. She didn't even knock, just stood in my driveway yelling, "This is harassment. You can't do this." I stayed calm. That's what rattled her most. I told her, "I gave you years of access. You gave me 7 minutes before calling the cops." She started waving her paperwork, but even she knew it meant nothing now. Her voice cracked. She said the HOA had been there long before I moved back, that it was understood the road belonged to the community. I didn't argue. I didn't need to. The documents said everything. What stunned her wasn't just the legal part, it was realizing someone had finally pushed back. Really pushed back. A few days later, the HOA board tried to play nice. I got an email requesting a meeting. They wanted to discuss options. Offer maintenance help, shared use agreements, community benefits. Too late. The moment Karen weaponized a phone call over a barbecue on my own dock, the bridge had burned. On day 25, they began removing things. The private property sign came down first. Then the mailbox they'd screwed into one of my trees. By day 28, their little wooden shed that held tools and newsletters was dismantled, piece by piece. Karen stopped coming around. Her voice, once echoing across the lake every weekend, had vanished. Some neighbors whispered that she was trying to sell her house, embarrassed or maybe just tired of losing. And that road, the one they used to claim like a castle gate, was finally quiet. Just gravel and grass, as it should have been. I didn't brag. I didn't throw a party. But one afternoon, I did sit by the dock with a new rack of ribs on the grill. This time, no interruptions. No shouting. Just smoke curling gently, Rusty snoring at my feet, and the calm sound of water touching wood. Funny thing, peace feels louder when you remember the silence you had to fight for. And sometimes, justice doesn't come with drama. It comes with space. The kind you clear by simply knowing your rights and refusing to back down.